Okay. Next story, grandma shot by police while reaching for her grandchild during a DEA no-knock raid. No drugs found. That's the end of the story. That's labeled police state. Next story, the Sandy Hook school shooting was the stuff of nightmares. Now, almost 2 years after that horrific tragedy, state officials are blaming another culprit, homeschooling. After the December massacre that took 26 innocent lives, Connecticut's leaders are still trying to make sense of the crime and focus their efforts on preventing a similar one. In the aftermath, Governor Dannel, I don't know if that's Daniel or Dannel Malloy convened a special Sandy Hook Advisory Commission to study the shooting and offer recommendations for upgrading security and protocols. But so far, the Commission's only contribution has been controversy. In a proposal just released by the 16-member panel, the Commission makes the outrageous suggestion that Connecticut needs to crack down on homeschooling, especially in homes with emotionally or mentally challenged kids. In a nod to the killer, Adam Lanza, whose mom pulled him out of school briefly as a teenager, the Commission has somehow concluded that homeschooling was partly to blame for his violence. That shocked the homeschooling community, and rightly so. This is despotism. They're trying to get authority over our children, over the people who don't want them to have their children. They're trying to rule over them. Next story. Earlier this year, the Illinois Supreme Court struck down a state eavesdropping law that made it a crime for citizens to record conversations with police or anyone else without the other person's permission. The court held that the old law criminalized a wide range of innocent conduct and violated free speech rights. In particular, the court noted the state could not criminalize recording activities where there is no reasonable expectation of privacy, including citizens' public encounters with police. Now the old law is back with just a few changes in a new bill sent to the governor's desk by the Illinois State Senate on December 4th. The bill not only passed, but did so overwhelmingly with votes of 106 to 7. In the House on and 46 to 4 and 1 no vote, it looks like, in the Senate. The new version is nearly as bad as the old one. Under the new bill, a citizen could rarely be sure whether recording any given conversation without permission is legal. So you're basically going to be confused. The bill would make it a felony to surreptitiously record any private conversation, which it defines as any oral communication between two or more persons where at least one person involved had a reasonable expectation of privacy. So that's a police state. They don't want you to monitor, they don't want you to record, monitor, to defend yourself with a witness being a video recording device, whatever kind, because they know the police are criminal. Not all of them are criminals, but most of them are criminals. Or at least, I'd say most of them are. The reason I can justify that claim is the U.S. Constitution says the right of the people to keep and to bear arms shall not be infringed. Keeping is like, keeping is like saying you got a gun in your house, right? And bearing means you actually have it on you. So according to the U.S. Constitution, if you walk out, if you can confidently say, I can walk outside of my house and have my shotgun in my hand and not get arrested or get impeded by police and them asking for my information or asking what I'm doing, if you believe that, then I don't believe you, but I can say that I can go anywhere in the union and do that, and as soon as a police officer sees me, they're going to harass me for that, because of that, right? So that's why I can call them all criminals. Maybe there might be a few that wouldn't do it, but it's hard to believe. Okay, next story. Excuse me. The Obama administration is giving up American control over the internet, handling over its most important technical functions to a multinational body perhaps even the UN. Excuse me. The UN could control the internet. Russia and China could censor free speech. Repressive regimes could nearly silence the church in many nations. You may be forced to pay a global internet tax. So that's despotism. That's they want more rule over us, more control. So take the internet out of the hands of America because America's too free, and give it into the hands of other people. That way they can say, oh, well, you don't have that right. You don't have that American right of freedom of speech. And by the way, in Canada, it's illegal to preach the Bible. All of it. You can't preach that sodomites are sinners. Homosexuals are sinners. In Canada, they made that illegal. So look it up. My throat's getting bad, and I might have to wait until the next session for some more videos on this. I'm about halfway done. Might do one more. I'll try to make it the 10 mark. I think I'm at 5-minute mark. Is that right? I'm close. Okay. And that's under despotism. We said that they're trying to control us, give authority, oppress us. Next story, Boston. Okay. After 16 long months of a separation from the loving and confidence of her family, Justina Peltier is finally returning home. When Justina was taken to Boston Children's Hospital, doctors disagreed with her initial diagnosis from Tufts Medical Center and insisted she suffered from a psychiatric condition, not mitochondrial disease. As far as Boston was concerned, there were too many red flags in Justina's case that couldn't be explained. And instead of consulting Tufts, Tufts accused Lou and Linda, the parents, of medical child abuse. A quick trip to Massachusetts for the Connecticut family, so they live in Connecticut, and they went to Massachusetts for that, to go to that hospital, turned into one of the greatest attacks on parental rights we've ever seen. After involving the Department of Children and Families and launching an investigation, Justina became a ward of the state of Massachusetts, even though the family resided in Connecticut and was consulting expert medical care. So they thought the parents were abusers, and subsequently they took over the child. And I remember reading this for a while, and it lasted, I'm saying maybe 6 months. You can check it out yourself, but that's pretty hardcore, you know. Next, the label for this one is a despotism, and really criminal behavior, because people can, you know, that person who was wrong, I kind of think that they probably should be in jail. Or I know that sounds a little rough. I don't know anything about the case, but that's a pretty bad mistake. You know, I would definitely, someone would need to investigate and say, how'd you come to this conclusion? And say, okay, I can see how that was reasonable or not. But that's pretty hardcore. That's wouldn't want to be that person. Anyways, next story. The Berkshire County Sheriff's Office is starting a campaign to photograph the eyes of every school-aged child in the county for inclusion in a national database meant to help identify recovered children more quickly. That's in Pittsfield. I don't know if that's Pennsylvania. You can look up Berkshire County and Pittsfield. And the label for that one's police state. And that's going to end this segment of recordings. I hope you enjoyed it. Your eyes are open. I apologize for my dry personality, if that's what I come off as. I'm not really your social type. All right, take care.